Thank the gentleman for yielding. That is the unmasking we should be concerned about. 38 different people, 49 different times. 6 people at Treasury. What, 6 people at Treasury unmasking Michael Flynn? It makes no sense. I do think it's important to get back on the record here. The Attorney General was scheduled, as Mr. McCasey said, the Attorney General was scheduled to be here. Attorney General was scheduled to be here in March, and I believe he is coming next month. So he will be here to answer all our questions. I wish the committee would be as focused on getting Inspector General Horowitz here, as I said in my opening statement. Let's go back where I was earlier, Mr. McCasey. I want to look at something we learned today and view it in the context of that statement from Mr. Priestep, where he said, what's our goal? To get him fired, to get him prosecuted, to get him to lie. I want to view it in light of what we have learned today that took place just a few weeks prior to that. January 4th, 2017, we learned today that former President Obama, James Comey, Sally Yates, Joe Biden, and Susan Rice discussed the transcripts of Michael Flynn's calls and how to proceed further against him. Mr. Obama himself directed, quote, the right people to investigate Flynn. I'm reading from the supplement that was in front of the court last night, would help them, I think, make their decision. This caused former FBI Director Comey to acknowledge the obvious. General Flynn's phone calls with Ambassador Kislyak appear legitimate. And according to Peter Strzok's notes, it appears that the Vice President then personally raised the idea of the Logan Act. We've already discussed the Logan Act and how ridiculous that was, and the Vice President raising that at the time he did. But what I want to look at is this idea that Comey says there's nothing wrong with the phone calls between Mr. Flynn and Ambassador Kislyak, and yet 20 days later, and also, at that time, the FBI was ready to drop any proceedings, any case against General Flynn, but they decided not to. They decided to do basically what Mr. Priestep said. They decided to go after him, try to get him to lie, try to set him up. And 20 days later, Jim Comey, again, his words, not ours, Jim Comey sneaks 2 guys into the White House. I think you referenced this in your opening statement. Sneaks 2 guys into the White House, doesn't follow proper protocol, doesn't notify the White House counsel. That's the part that alarms me and I think should alarm any citizen. Your thoughts on all that?
Well, I've seen the summary of the Strzok notes that you mentioned. That just came out today, I believe.
Yep.
The timing, as you say, is disturbing.
Yeah, sure is. Sure is. Mr. Zelinsky, you mentioned those 2 names, Mr. Cooney, and then give me the other name one more time, because I want to ask you a few questions about these individuals.
Sure, Congressman. I believe the name that you're looking for is the former assistant for the U.S. Attorney's Office. As I indicated earlier, his name is Alessio Evangelista.
Evangelista, okay. Now, how many times, how many conversations did you have with these 2 individuals about the Stone case?
I just want to be clear before I answer. These are not all of the supervisors that I spoke with, but about the Stone case, I would say I spoke to them dozens, if not 50 times.
About the sentencing recommendation in the Stone case?
At least a dozen times.
After February 10th, after you filed it, or before?
Prior to February 10th, I'm sorry, you're asking prior to the filing
of look, you
memo?
file it on the 10th. There's a supplement the next day. The judge decides the supplement's the right way to go, not your approach. After February 10th, you said you spoke to Mr. Cooney and Mr. Evangelista about this, and they indicated that it was politics that were driving it. I'm asking you, how many conversations did you have with these 2 individuals after the 10th about the sentencing issue?
Congressman, I want to be very careful because I want to truthfully answer your questions to the best of my abilities. I did not have any conversations with Mr. Evangelista following the filing of our memo. The conversation that I outlined in my statement was with the head of the Fraud and Public Corruption section.
Okay, and that's when they told you it was politics that was driving the decision to change the sentencing recommendation. Is that right?
That was one of the times. I had previously been told.
Who did they get the information from that they passed on to you? Who told them that it was politics driving it?
I just want to be clear again, Congressman. When you say them, it was the head of the Fraud and Public Corruption.
Okay, who told him or her? Who told Mr. Cooney? Whoever that person is.
I know that he was in meetings with senior leadership. I do not know the source of his information.
So you don't know where he got it. He told you. You didn't talk to Barr. You didn't talk to the DAG. You didn't talk to Mr. Shea, but he told you, and therefore it has to be true.
The time of the gentleman has expired.
Great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.